Good evening, everyone. White Witch 110 here. How was your Friday? Ours was fine. This here is a really pretty candle holder I got last year at, you guessed it, Dollarama. It's a favorite of mine. I thought you could watch the flame flicker in there while we start yet another story. And here we go. Dark paths and dense forests, what scary times are made of. We know we shouldn't go, but we do. Amanda and Daniel were always quick to point out these flaws in movies. So this begged the question as to why they did it. Although, to give them credit, the dense forest was actually a patch of pines on an old farmstead. It was a lovely autumn morning when Daniel suggested they get away for the day, pack a lunch, and spend time in nature. They would stop for dinner on the way home, maybe somewhere romantic. Amanda got to work making sandwiches and a couple of salads for the basket, a nice bottle of white wine and some water to wash it all down. They were on the road about 11. No particular direction in mind. Daniel would just flip a coin and drive. It was a beautiful drive along the river. The sun was set high in the sky. The warmth was welcomed after a cool start to their morning. It was around 1 when they stopped for lunch on an outcrop of rocks. Daniel spread the blanket from the trunk, and Amanda brought over the basket and began to unpack it. Daniel made mention of how delicious everything looked. He poured a glass of wine for each of them from the small bottle. "This is so relaxing," he stated with a sigh. "We should do this every weekend," Amanda suggested, "at least until the snow flies." They continued to soak in the gorgeous atmosphere until the home-baked cupcakes were gone. They packed up, taking any trash they had with them. On the road again, Daniel began to sing. Amanda laughed, joining in. Neither had felt this relaxed in months. Life had been too busy as of lately. All tension had melted away with the sun. The scenery continued to inspire their journey to go on. Thoughts of turning home weren't even a consideration. If this could only go on forever. Silly, unrealistic idea, but well welcomed today. Nothing else actually mattered but the two of them and the surrounding nature. Daniel had been going along for a while when he noticed a side road ahead. Wanting to explore, he took the dirt road. It was bumpy and jostled them very well. They laughed at each other. "Wonder where we'll end up," Amanda thought out loud. "Just hope this isn't someone's property," he said. There were no postings of private property, so they kept to their journey. They had been on the road for a while when Amanda spoke up. "Where are we, Daniel? I'm starting to get concerned. We haven't seen another road or building for over an hour. Are we going to be able to get back home?" You could hear the nervous concern in her voice. "We'll trace our way, follow the same road. Don't worry." He placed his hand over hers. After a while, Daniel found a spot to pull off the road and overlook a valley. "Breathe in that air, so crisp and fresh," He took a deep breath. It is beautiful, I have to admit. Amanda put her arms around him. Do you hear that? Her face scrunched up. The birds? Yes, sounds great, doesn't it? He asked. No, the creaking noise. It's like the metal of an old swing. She looked at him. You can't hear that? Daniel listened intently. He could barely hear it. Maybe an old sign? He suggested. It sounds more like a swing to me. Reminds me of the one at my uncle's cottage years ago. But why would there be a swing out here? Some parks have swings, Daniel reminded her. Amanda was intent on locating the origin of the noise. She began walking in the direction she believed it came from. They had walked 10 minutes when it came into sight. Amongst the pines stood a lone swing moving back and forth. The motion was relaxed, like a child enjoying themselves. Daniel and Amanda glanced at each other. How could this be? Why would someone put it here? They stood watching in amazement. Neither of them believed their own senses. The swing went on at an exact pace as they continued to watch. Do you think it would stop if we tried to sit in it? Daniel asked. I'm not going to try. It could get violent, Amanda pointed out. Daniel took a step forward. The pace remained steady. He chanced another, then another, until he was beside it. The swing continued. Daniel began to move in front, and the swing stopped dead. They stared at the old wooden structure. Amanda joined him. That was strange. It isn't even moving an inch. Amanda made note. Slowly, Daniel lowered himself on the wooden seat. Immediately, he felt a shove from behind. He looked over to Amanda in shock. What was that? He asked. Amanda shrugged her shoulders. Maybe they don't want you in the swing? Another shove from behind, but Daniel kept his feet planted in the earth. 2 more, and his body flinched forward. Who are you, and what do you want? He shouted at the empty space in front of him. I'm not hurting you, he pointed out. The air around them grew cold quickly. Daniel could see his breath. Leave us alone. He stood firm in his voice. Amanda felt a small hand grabbed hold of her arm. She looked over to Daniel for help. He couldn't move. There was no way to explain it. If you're actually a child, let me know, Amanda said, searching the area around her. In the distance, they both hear the eerie laugh of children. There's more than one, she told Daniel. What are they doing out here? How? Why would you build a swing out here? I don't understand. Daniel was trying to make sense of it. A giggle of a young girl sounded as if she were directly by her right side. Her eyes widened. Amanda felt no threat, but unease. Why are you still here, little one? Amanda asked softly. We aren't going to hurt you, she assured her. Amanda, I think we should get going. Daniel was uncomfortable. I don't feel the cold, She moved her hands around herself, but she warned the spirit, "You cannot follow us or attach to anything we have." Back in the car, Daniel traced their path towards the main highway. There was a great sense of relief when the highway was in sight. Daniel drove to their usual cutoff. "Did you want to go to the orchard for apples?" "Sure, why not?" Amanda was back to herself. They pulled into the parking lot. There were only a couple of cars. Approaching the admission gate, Daniel recognized the cashier. "Jackson, how are things?" It was a childhood friend. "Not many people today." "Hey, Daniel." "Hi, Amanda." "No, it's been quiet today. You two looking to pick or buy?" "I think we'll pick our own this year," Daniel replied. He paid Jackson, picked up a bag, and they went off. The other people were there in the store. Row by row, they chose the apples that appealed to them. "Is Jackson here?" Daniel inquired. "Not that I can see," Amanda replied. "Why?" "I thought I heard someone humming." They continued picking apples until their bag was full. As they made their way back, they both heard the humming. It seemed to be all around them. Amanda reprimanded Jackson, but there was no response back. Dusk had come quickly, and the humming followed them. "Jackson," Daniel stopped. "Jackson, stop that humming," Daniel said. "Where are you?" He was on his cell to him. "I'm at the gate, man. Why? Do you need help?" "Don't joke," Daniel said sternly. "I'm not joking. I don't have a break for the next hour. What's going on?" Jackson was confused. "You have someone out here humming. You're the only people left. I'll check when we close up." The sound was mocking them. Amanda felt the pleasure of their discomfort in the sound. They paid their old friend and left with their apples. Back inside the car, they headed home. Amanda turned the radio on. She didn't like how quiet it was. The sound could barely be heard. They ignored it. But as it happened, it was difficult to ignore. It was a deep male voice, always content no matter what. The humming continued to their discomfort. We'll leave it there this evening. I hope you like the start of this new story. We are supposed to be having rain tomorrow and rain Sunday. So if it does rain Sunday, needless to say, we won't be going to our friend's place so that I can film his haunted house. So if we can't this weekend, I'll make a connection for us to go the following. Our weekends are squishing in. I would really prefer this weekend because I've got baking to do after this. So, enjoy the rest of your Friday night. And as always, ciao for now.